So on to the Roman portion of the test review. Roman dates are easier than Greek dates because the empire begins around the year 0 CE. Remember Luke chapter 2? In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. The Etruscans ruled Italy before 500 BCE, about the same time as the Archaic period in Greece. The Roman Republic lasted about 500 years, although it got pretty shaky at the end, and Augustus started up the empire when we started counting forward instead of backward in the calendar. The 2nd century CE is the good century for the empire. The 4th century CE sees the beginning of the Eastern Christian Empire. Again, if you focus on 0 and remember that Pompey gets buried early in the empire period, you'll do okay. Here again, this slide should be self-explanatory. And here are some more pretty straightforward questions. Which of our required works is most similar stylistically to this one? Think of a work that is pretty much from the same era and has a somewhat similar style. How is it different from this and similar works? That should be easy. Where would this statue originally have been found? What was a common feature of the exterior of Etruscan temples? And that won't be hard. What's weirdest about this temple? What was this work's function? Which culture made it? What's the sculpture made out of? Where would it or sculptures like it be placed? Check your vocabulary word. And what activities does the sculpture portray? What makes this work and this culture unusual in the Greek and Roman world? So there are several questions about the work on the left. You see a detail on the lower right and a plan for the entire complex on the upper right. So what is it that is on the upper left? Where was it placed? What was its function? By the way, I don't think I mentioned in my podcast that the column was actually Trajan's tomb. And I can't remember if this information showed up in the homework either. So now you know it was his tomb. What kind of style were the Nabatean architects imitating? For that matter, what is the artistic style of this building? Think about the fact that the Nabateans lived at a cultural crossroads and borrowed from many different sources. The image on the right is from the House of the Veti. Which room are we seeing? What other architectural features are we seeing? What were the functions of this room? Hint, the photo gives you the correct answer, but the photo is not on the exam. What is the date of these works? Basically, when did Vesuvius erupt? What is the style of the painting on the left from the Ixiom room? What are the characteristics of this style and the subjects of these paintings? I warned you that the AP version of floor plans wouldn't have labels. So what is this a plan of? How was the interior decorated? Hint, mosaics were found on the floor, not on the walls. What can we learn about this kind of structure from studying the floor plan? I'm not going to give you the answer. If you can read a floor plan, I think the answer will be pretty obvious. What is the large area on the bottom left called? These paintings, again, are from the Ixion room of the House of the Veti. What kind of narratives do these paintings tell? How does the painting on the left show depth and volume? Look at how the figures are placed and how light hits them. What painting technique will be revived in the Renaissance? Again, what style of Pompeian wall painting does this represent? Okay, you all should recognize the guy on the left and know what period this sculpture was made. What work was the artist deliberately copying with some important differences? What function did both sculptures serve? What messages did they send? What building is this and where is it located? What was the building's original use? And what was it converted into? You may need to look that second question up since we haven't gotten there yet, but I did include the question and give the location. Given the location, it shouldn't be hard to guess, especially for students at Juan Diego. The answer is also found in the photo on the upper left if you look carefully. Who commissioned this work? Who was its original patron? You won't need a name, by the way, which is just as well since a whole succession of people were involved in ordering this build and rebuild, but they were all blank. The dome was primarily constructed with what material? Notice that this question appears more than once. Stick it in the hard drive. What are those indentations in the dome ceiling called? What purpose did they serve? What is the term for the central opening in the dome, and what covers or doesn't cover it? What was most impressive about this building? What effect were the architects trying to achieve? By the way, a hint for this question: the pronaos is the porch, and it's rectangular. To circumnambulate means to walk around in a circle. You can't circumnambulate a square porch. I think you'll find the correct answer obvious. Good luck on your test. We move on next to the art, the Hindu, Buddhist, and Islamic art.